Hello and welcome to Undead Gaming News, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host Zombie, and first up this week we have Gotham Knights. As part of a fan Q&A at San Diego Comic-Con, WB Games Montreal creative director Patrick Redding said that Batman really is dead in Gotham Knights, and also the Joker won't be in it. Patrick also followed that statement by saying, "I will not confirm or deny whether Harley is," which tells me she probably is. She probably will show up at some point. Whether it's a small appearance or not, I don't know. But he also gave one more detail about the game, which was how many of the Riddler's question marks will be on the map, and he said there's apparently exactly one of them, which means it won't be like the Arkham games where you have a bunch spread out all over the place. You'll just have the one riddle to solve. Over at Nintendo, they've issued a warning for fans to immediately stop using some of the old hardware. The warning has nothing to do with any of the consoles, instead it's about the Nintendo Wi-Fi USB connector NTR010 and the Nintendo Wi-Fi network adapter WAP001, both of which pose security issues for using them. The statement says, regarding the network devices released by Nintendo Wi-Fi in 2005 and 2008, please stop using them from the viewpoint of a security protection and switch to commercially available network devices. These products have been around for more than 10 years since their launch, and we've confirmed that there are following concerns. When they are used continuously. If you continue to use these devices, there is a risk that they may be illegally accessed from the outside, or that the connected terminal may be infected with a computer virus, etc. For customers who are currently using it, please stop using it immediately and switch to commercially available network equipment for security protection. We apologise for any inconvenience this may cause and ask for your understanding and cooperation. Now, I'm not sure why they're issuing this statement so late, because considering those particular devices have been vulnerable to the same security issues for many years now, but I suppose it's good that they're throwing that out there anyway. Also in the news we have The Lord of the Rings Gollum, as it's been delayed for a few months to give the developers more time to deliver the best possible experience. The development studio announced the news on Twitter, where they said, "We are dedicated to meeting our community's expectations and uncovering the untold story of Gollum in a way that honours the vision of J.R.R. Tolkien. That being said, in order to deliver the best possible experience, we've decided to push the release of The Lord of the Rings Gollum by a few months. We will update you with an exact time in the near future." The Lord of the Rings Gollum was previously targeting a September 1st, 2022 release date, but due to this delay, the nearest possible release date would be sometime in December, or it'll be early 2023 since they said it will be delayed by a few months. Over on 2K's side of things, they've removed a majority of the WWE games that were available on Steam, along with the DLC. Prior owners can still access those games, but anyone that wanted to buy the games on Steam will have to now hunt down a Steam key from a third-party seller while they're still available. The games affected are WWE 2K17, 18, 19 and 20. They were all removed from sale on Steam, and 2K has made no attempt to announce or publicise the delistings. The delistings mean that the only 2K WWE games currently available for purchase on Steam are this year's WWE 2K22 and WWE Battlegrounds. Usually when games are pulled from Steam like this, it tends to be a licensing issue, typically due to a license expiring. But since 2K has made no effort to even mention that it's happened, we can't be sure exactly why those games were pulled. Over at Gearbox, they've released a new update for 3 of the older Borderlands games. Those would be Borderlands, Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel, and that update has been responsible for several new bugs, and they are currently investigating the issues that have appeared since the updates went out. Some of the bugs include things like getting stuck on an infinite loading screen, experiencing crashes, and seeing textures failing to load. The update was intended to change the in-game newsfeed in each game, and Gearbox has asked players to create a ticket on the 2K support site to let them know if you're having issues with any of the Borderlands games. In other news, we have Stray, that has now overtaken God of War as the best user-rated Steam game of 2022, and that's according to Steam 250. Stray has a score of 8.61, meaning out of 42,665 reviews, 98% of them are positive. Despite God of War having more reviews overall, Stray has received just enough positive ones to push it above God of War. This ranking has gained Stray 49th place on the best Steam games of all time list on Steam 250, which is not surprising considering it managed to gain 60,000 concurrent players just under an hour after release. In other news, we have a new study of 39,000 gamers that has found little to no evidence time spent playing affects their well-being. Well-being was measured by asking about life satisfaction and levels of emotions such as happiness, sadness, anger and frustration. The results contradict a 2020 study conducted by the same department at the Oxford Internet Institute, but with a much smaller group of players. The 2020 study had 3,274 adult gamers, and it concluded that people who play video games for longer periods of time tend to report feeling happier than those who do not. A professor who worked on both studies said, "Common sense says if you have more free time to play video games, you're probably a happier person. But contrary to what we might think about games being good or bad for us, we found in the latest study pretty conclusive evidence that how much you play doesn't really have any bearing whatsoever on changes in well-being. If players were playing because they wanted to, rather than because they felt compelled to, they tended to feel better." Which is kind of obvious to me, but there you go. Also in the news we have the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which has been delayed indefinitely. It was originally announced in September of 2021, but according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, Aspyr completed a vertical slice demo of the remake at the end of June to show executives at Lucasfilm and Sony, and the following week, the art director Jason Miner and design director Brad Prince were both fired from the studio. Brad Prince indicated on his LinkedIn page that the termination was not expected by writing, "Things can change very fast in a day. I'm no longer working at Aspyr and I'm looking for work." The vertical slice is essentially a demo that's intended to showcase all of the game's intended features in action, and sources told Bloomberg that Aspyr's studio bosses weren't pleased with the state of it, or the amount of time and money that had been put into creating it. For now, the full status of Knights of the Old Republic remake are unclear, but employees at Aspyr have reportedly been told that the company is seeking new projects, and the remake could be moved to a different developer, which could possibly be Aspyr's parent company, Saber Interactive. Speaking of remakes, we do have The Last of Us Part 1 remake, which a new feature and gameplay trailer had been dropped for, and the way they frame the remake is essentially that it's what they wanted the original Last of Us to be, but due to the technical limitations of the PS3, they couldn't make it exactly how they wanted to. But with how far the technology has come with the PS5, they're able to make the original version that they intended. They mention small details many times, things like facial animation improvements, lighting differences, detailed character models down to even their eyes being more detailed. They also mention the destructible environments feeling more realistic now that they have more advanced hardware to work with. And they've also based the AI from the Last of Us Part 2 AI, rather than the original Last of Us AI, because the AI for The Last of Us Part 2 have much more complex systems in place than the AI from the original Last of Us, or the PS4 remake of The Last of Us. They've also added new features for The Last of Us Part 1, including a permadeath mode, a speedrun mode, cosmetic unlockables, a model viewer mode, the accessibility options from The Last of Us Part 2, and they've also utilised the PS5's 3D audio, adaptive triggers, and haptic feedback. When showing off the game with comparison footage, they only used footage from the PS5 remake and the PS4 Pro remaster. I'm not sure why they didn't use any PS3 footage to show just how far everything's come, but that just about does it for this week. If you have any thoughts on anything discussed this week, please leave it in the comment section below as always, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.